What's happening, everyone? In this video, we're going to cover some basic principles that you need to keep in mind when you're doing your mockups. So let's just listen to this example I got right here. Now, what I've done here is that I've used a mix of different articulations to try emulate the sound of a real instrument better. So if you listen to the horn patch here, I'm not just using the legato. Because that's not very realistic. A real horn player would likely do a mix of and so on, like a mix of the long and the short. And that's the first kind of principle I want you to keep in mind when you're going to make a mock-up that sounds like a real orchestra. If you have the mindset of using patches and presets, it's going to, kind of affect the way you think about it. But if you realize that these are just snapshots into the ways a real instrumentalist is playing his instrument, then that's going to become tools for you to emulate that. So if you listen to the horn separated here, you can hear there's a mix between short, little swells and like crescendos, and the legatos. Let's listen. There's a couple of ways to do it, and you can use key switches, which means having one patch, and you use keys on the keyboard to switch between the articulations, which can be good for recording things on the go and doing things fast. However, there are some downsides to this, because the option is to have them as separate tracks as I do here, which is my personal preference. Just because, say you're going to give this to an orchestrator, for example, then it's going to be easier for him to have all these articulations kind of mapped out, so it knows like, okay, that's a rip, that's a trill, that's a run, instead of just having MIDI on one track with a bunch of key switches, because that's going to be fairly hard to read. So you see that I most of the time have them separated completely, they're short and long. Sometimes you see that there is a little bit of an overlap, and that's when I want just to accentuate the energy of the long samples. And this is just about like what sounds the best. Like here, I just wanted these notes to be accentuated by the short one, because if I take it away, it just didn't have that energy that I wanted. And if I only have the short ones, it sounded a little bit too sharp and short. But if I combined them, it gave me that energy that I wanted for that, particular little phrase. So sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of overlap. It's more kind of like coloring with the sounds and the frequencies that you want. So it doesn't have to be like a super fancy library. It's more about the mindset and actually having the patience to do this and to flesh it out more with different tracks, with different articulations, rather than just going the easy way and using one. Now, that being said, sometimes you don't really need that super realistic sound. Say for trailers and stuff, then using just a staccato patch for strings might, yield the most powerful and punchy result that fits for that medium and that style. So I'm not saying you always need to do this, but if you're going for something that's realistic and sounds like an actual orchestra, then this is the way to go. Hope that's been helpful, everyone. I'll see you guys later.